Amanda Waller stood before the United Nations. She had been a high-ranking authority figure in the United States government before, but now that she was the vice president, she was here. She tried to reason with everyone that the world needs some form of anti-superhuman might. She showed photographs of the damage Bane had caused in Gotham, LexCorp being conquered by Metallo, Arkham Asylum during Riddler's takeover, Ares in the ocean, and even a blurred photo of Deadshot. Amanda proposed a set of planes equipped with kryptonite. Diana tried to oppose, and Aquaman just motioned for her to sit. Apparently, he agreed that superhumans should be somewhat regulated, especially if they were to go rogue. He also reasons that this task force could be used to assist against people like Ares, Orm, Deadshot, or Bane. After Waller got the funding and approval, she formed her team: Rick Flag, Hal Jordan, Kate Kane, and Jon Stewart. Hal, before the final training mission, had a heartfelt goodbye to Carol Ferris. Hal got into the plane and started with the group. Waller had them shoot down a drone shaped like Superman in a gray costume, and then track a robotic Batman. Then the team was separated to go fight 4 separate targets. Hal was sent west, out to the desert, to shoot down a speeding car, driven by an AI designed to simulate Batman and his Batmobile. Hal shot at the robot while causing no casualties, and he started to return to the base. However, he saw a green object smoking on the ground. Hal asked Waller over the comm line to investigate, and she granted him the ability to do so. When Hal landed on the sandy plateau, he saw that it was an alien. Hal referred to his training and assumed it was likely Kryptonian, since it was radiating out green light. The door swung open, and a little pink alien crawled out. Hal gasped and stepped back in horror from this revolting thing in front of him. "Aben," the creature cried out. "Alan?" Hal asked, confused at what the alien said. "Aben, sir," the alien gasped as he breathed in again and died. Hal asked Waller what to do, and she told him to go inside of the craft, and told him that John, Kate, and Rick would be there soon. He stepped inside, cautious, but found a green object on the floor. As Hal stepped towards it, it raised into the air. Hal was startled, but he oddly felt entranced by the object, as a ray of green light shone over him. The object slipped onto Hal's finger, just like a ring. Hal tried to remove it, but seemingly was encased in a green translucent bubble. The bubble flew out of the spacecraft door and flew up into the sky, just as he saw John, Kate, and Rick arriving. He tried to scream, but they could do nothing. In space, Waller tried to contact him, but the communications didn't reach. Once Hal was far away from Earth, a green costume covered his body, and Hal screamed out in fear. The ring seemed to speed up with this and flew through the void faster. Hal passed out from the sheer G-forces, and the ring continued to pilot him through the space anyway. Once they landed, the ring jolted Hal awake, and he looked around. He could see green hills, green towers, and the void of space. Hal then walked around the area, specifically to a tower with a giant symbol on top of it. Before he got there, 3 humanoid aliens stepped up. The first was pink and rather muscular. The second was magenta, and he was skinnier, but his face was adorned with a mustache. Third was orange, and he had a beak and a scaled fin on top of his head. Hal looked at them and saw that they had the same uniform as he did. "Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps," the pink one said. Hal screamed, and they scowled. "Sorry, Hal Jordan of Earth. I'm sorry if we got off on the wrong foot. My name's Sinestro. I'll be your guide here." Hal decided that clearly he was dreaming. He'd probably passed out from the G-forces in the jet on Waller's test. A platform was created under them both, and flew them over to the building with the big symbol. "This is the Green Lantern's central battery," said Sinestro. "It generates our rings and also provides power for the will of the universe." Hal looked in disbelief at Sinestro. "And now you are probably wondering why you were called." Hal nodded. "Across the galaxy there has been a prophecy for eons. Undead will rise up, and the hope of the universe will fall to the fear and death." "So what, you fight zombies? Now I know this is a dream," Hal joked. "Well, yes, but any form of undead. Spirits, zombies, whatever," Sinestro plainly answered. Hal thought about this and decided to ask Sinestro an important question. "So, Mr. Sinestro, could you answer me this one question? How can I understand you and hear you in English if you are an alien?" Hal asked defiantly. "Oh, that's an easy one. Your power ring. I was just about to get to that, in fact. Your ring can not only help you understand any language and hear it as the language you are most familiar with, but also do things like this, all with will," Sinestro explained as he pointed his fist towards the sky. All of a sudden, a giant orb appeared. Then, as Sinestro lowered his arm, the construct disappeared. Hal then gasped, incredulous. But as he lifted his arm and thought about a sword, he shouted in surprise as a floating green sword was in front of him. Sinestro then told him to repeat the following phrase. "In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light." Hal said so, and then his suit felt extra charged. Right then, however, his ring made an alert noise. Apparently back on Earth there was trouble. Kilowog and Sinestro waved goodbye to Hal. As he returned home by using his ring to generate a spaceship, he thought about going to Waller about all this, but the ring wouldn't let him. Hal crashed into Gotham, namely on the side of a building. As the construct disappeared, Hal's eyes started to close, and he heard in a bellowing voice, "Born on a Monday." When Hal woke up, Batman was standing over him. "Hello, Hal Jordan." "Batman? Wait, what?" Hal asked, confused. He looked down and saw himself in his Green Lantern uniform still. "So it wasn't a dream," he muttered to himself. He looked over to Batman. "How did you know my name?" Hal asked. "Well, that was easy. The news talked about your disappearance near a green spacecraft made seemingly of light, and you just crashed back down to Earth in a green spacecraft made seemingly out of light." Hal looked, astounded by the Dark Knight, but decided to trust him. Loud, resounding footsteps rang throughout Gotham City, and Batman jumped into his Batmobile. "Help me out if you wish," Batman said, "but don't get yourself killed." Hal stood up and used his ring to generate a near copy of the Batmobile, but now green. The duo raced down the streets of Gotham and slammed their brakes as they found a large, bulking mass of rotting flesh. The creature screamed out a grunt, "Solomon Grundy!" Hal almost took pity on the thing, but then it picked up a car and threw it at Hal. Hal used his ring to make a construct of pliers and grabbed the car out of the air. Hal motioned for the family to get out of the car, and Hal then threw it back at Grundy. Grundy reeled backwards and jumped high into the sky as Batman backed up. Hal saw this and figured out the plan. Hal moved cars, people, and everything else out of the road and prepared for Grundy to land. As he did, Batman rammed the Batmobile into him full force, sending him flying down the street until he stopped in a crater. Hal figured his work was done and flew away into the night.